Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another Primal The Awakening unboxing, rawr, our boss monster hunting fighting video. So part 1, we went through the rules, overview of the game. Oh, my camera fell. In part 2, we went over the tokens and the item cards, the armor, the helms, the potions and things like that you could collect and upgrade throughout the game. This video, we are going to start going over the hunters. There are 4 of them. I'm going to try and do them all in one video. We'll just see how long it starts to take. We might end up breaking it up into 2 parts. There are 4 hunters in the core box, and then there are 2 in an expansion. We'll do the expansion definitely in a different video. Before I even head into that too much, we're going to look at this quick. We have a tip card for the round structure, just as a reminder of how things work. Just a quick one. Consume monster upkeep, which refreshes his behaviors. Gains a struggle token per player. Players get a go, they move, they do their actions. The attrition phase, end of turn, end of round. Fairly simple. Other side's the same. There's just one card for this. It's great when games have things like this, like little reminder things. I don't think you need one per player. I think you can kind of just suck this down like, hey, here's a quick reminder. So I don't have to have like a rulebook page open. I don't think it's necessary to have one for each player. Then the thing we are going to get for each player, or each hunter rather, is their full playboard. So here we're going to start with Daeron, the Great Sword. So each one is represented by a different character of the game, but they're more and so referenced as their deck, or their weapon. And so they'll have a symbol on there to show their weapon, which will match the back of their cards. And the symbols on lots of their cards will show that icon referencing them. Helm, armor, same. Item, 3 potion slots. On the back, we have a little bit of description for each character. We have it Daeron. Some people have a shadow behind their eyes, and in that shadow moves a force that can explode at any moment. That force raises the sword that strikes with brutality, without mercy, and without compromise. Alright, so we're going to look at him first. We're just going to do one guy at a time. Let's take a look at his miniature quick before we get into his deck. Let's scooch this out of the way. So definitely really cool detailed miniature. You can set detail on the armor. It's also fun because, again, their items they get are based off of them, like taking monsters and doing parts with them. So there's some scale on his armor. His sword obviously has like a dragon skull with the big giant blade coming out of it. His cape is like wings. And he's kind of got maybe like a buckler or a shield type thing in the back as well. But yeah, he's going to be a giant 2-handed sword. Really cool. Alright, then we are going to hop into his actual deck. So, each player will also get one of these cards here. This is a reference icon for them. So now, each different hunter, I keep saying player, but I should say hunter, generally has some sort of special type of ability for them, or things they can do, that maybe the other ones don't have. And this isn't necessarily going to be all their cards only do this. This is just kind of, again, more of a reminder for what most of this stuff does. So it says if you have 2 red cards, the ability is triggered when you play 2 consecutive red cards. If it has, example, yellow, and then, which is a parry, and then an arrow, means you can trigger the ability if the previous card in your sequence is a parry, and then the other one would be if you have the arrow and then the red one, if the next one is an attack. The double swords is the ability. You can only resolve the ability if your mastery card is focused, so every deck will have a mastery card. Which will look like this. This is one of these orange ones, so it has that symbol. They use symbols all over the place for this game, which is really great. And then the sword icon refers to his weapon level. So sometimes they'll mention that. On the back side, which is the same for lots of the characters, but we'll look at this quick. We have the assist. Once per turn, when another player's turn, either before or after any action, you may perform an assist by discarding a card with the keyword assist from your hand. If you do, the active player draws one card. That's everyone has that, I believe. And then some of the other abilities on here are ones that not necessarily he only has, but but not every character has them. So he has keywords that link to them called Berserker. When you play a card with this keyword in your sequence, you enter the Berserker state and remain in that state until the end of your turn. While in Berserker state, draw one each time you play an attack card in your sequence. So it's going to help him get more drawing. Finisher, when you play a card with this keyword, finisher in your sequence, your action phase ends. So it's probably a more powerful attack, but it stops you from playing anymore. Resilience, after you suffer an attack or damage from a monster, you may reveal a card with the keyword resilience from your hand to draw a card. Slash, this is a card trait. A trait has no inherent effect in the game, but abilities may reference other cards that possess or lack specific traits. And then vulnerable. A monster is vulnerable. You or another player deal damage to the monster. You may discard the vulnerable token to double that damage. At the end of the round, if it's still there, remove it. I love these little things because they're little reminders for each player. Like, hey, I'm playing as him. Here's Berserker. What does Berserker do again? You can just flip this over. You don't have to jump back to the book for everything. Now, obviously, again, it's not going to reference every single thing in the game, but it's going to at least represent a good portion of it. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at his sword cards. So, before we look at his deck, let's see what he can do with his different abilities. So, here's our basic sword, just the Great Sword. On the top here will be what level it is, level 1, of course, your icon. What colors you have in your deck. So, your deck will be made up of 6 red, 6 blue, 6 yellow, and 6 green. Down here at the bottom is going to show how much damage it does. It does 2 damage. Not terrible. Not terribly strong, but against your base weapon. And then it has an ability. When you play 2 red, increase the damage the attack does by 2 and remove 1 struggle. So that's what he gets to do. Then we get to upgrade to our elemental weapons. So we're going to go through each one. My favorite thing is that I'll start to change pictures. So now it's going to show it's a red card. So it's fire. Has a fire icon up there. Still level 1. But it's going to change our deck outlay. So now we have 6, 4, 5, and 5. So we have same amount of attack, but now since we're playing less defense and less blue attack, we're gonna draw our red attack cards more often. And that's kind of the aim of this particular one. When you play a red, you may suffer 1 damage. If you do, increase the attack damage by 3 once per turn. So there we go. You can get an option to do some extra damage. When we level this up to level 2, and it's awesome, you can see it changing there. The dragon scales kind of start to like encompass the red fire part. You may suffer 2 damage. If you do, Flame Tongue gets plus 4 damage till the end of turn. So yeah, we go from having to play a card and suffering 1 damage to increase it by 3. To at the start of your turn, you can suffer 2. If you do, Flame Tongue gets 4 damage till the end of turn. So the difference is, again, there's some big differences in there, right? Oh, but it's just 4 damage as well. And I can go through super into all these cards. It's just things to note. Like, again, costs a thing. You have to play a sequence in here. And if you do, you're increasing the damage of that attack by 3. This one, on the other hand, you may take 2, and it's just going to make all your damage plus 4. So it's kind of cool. And then the deck composition stays the same. I'm not going to guarantee it, but I think it stays the same for each color. So red is going to have this layout, and so on and so forth. Level 3 fully encapsulates that. It's up to 9 damage. You may suffer 3 damage. If you do, Flame Tongue gets plus 6 damage till the end of the turn. When your health becomes critical is anytime your health is half or below, you may search your discard pile for an attack card and add it to your hand. So immediately as soon as you start this. And then if you watch the previous video where I went over the armor, the helm, and the items, you'll see that there's going to be definitely correlation between this. Like, fire is going to deal with stuff being critical. Lightning dealt with, like, discarding your hand. Blue had healing. So each different weapon's also going to kind of correspond to that in a little bit. So if you have a full set of weapon, armor, helmet, and item, all of the same element, you're going to have some pretty crazy combos going on, but it's going to be for a specific thing that's happening, like this one being coming critical. Versus if you have 4 different things, you're going to have a lot more varied abilities, but they're not going to necessarily link together as well. So it's kind of cool for your deck building options. But yeah, you definitely do 6 until the end of turn, which is pretty cool. Alright, then if we look at our horn, we have the Dragon Claw. So now this is 5/5/5/5, so it actually reduces it by 1 for each. Which you might be like, well, why would you want 1 less of each card? That doesn't make sense either, right? Because the less cards you have in your deck, the quicker you're going to draw each one. And 4 cards doesn't seem like much, but it's gonna make a difference. When you pay the stamina cost for a red attack, you may increase the cost by 1. If you do, increase the damage that attack deals by 3. Cool, so you can pay extra to make it basically a harder swing. Then when we upgrade this, now it does 6 damage. When you pay the stamina cost, you may increase it by 1. It deals damage up by 6. Max once per turn. Okay, see, now this one is going to change. When we hit level 3, these all became 6s. This went back up. But now we do 8 damage. When you pay a stamina cost, may increase that attack goes up by 12. So interesting, right? When you pay the stamina cost of a red attack, you may increase the cost by 1. So yeah, again, I'm not going to go through and go back and forth, compare all of these, but I just want to do a quick comparison between the first two weapons as an idea. So at the end, you're going to have more cards in your horn deck than you will in your fire deck. The fire deck's going to do, sword is going to do 1 extra point of damage. Which says you may take damage to do an additional 6, which ups it to 9, 18. So that's definitely going to do a lot more damage during your turn. This one will up it to 12, which actually ups it to 20. The difference is take damage, does it every attack, versus having to pay a cost, but you can make every attack do 20. You could potentially have multiple, but you don't have to take the damage to do it. So there are, again, your strengths and weaknesses. It should also depend on your play style. Every player could play this character a little bit differently. Alright, we have Coral, our waters. We have a little bit, you see less cards than we start with. This has more of a defense on there. Less focusing on parry. Blood Reef. Increase your hand limit by 1. So that's cool, you get 1 extra card. But this only does 3 damage. Level 2, upgrading that. I don't think our numbers changed. Nope. Increase your hand limit by 1. If you played a blue, then a red, you can heal 2. So doing some attacks lets you heal. Has 5 damage. And then our numbers stayed the same for Blood Reef level 3. If you play a blue and a red, heal 3 and remove 1 struggle. So cool. Maybe a little less damage than the other two, definitely, because you're not getting the extra damage bonuses, but it has healing effects, which maybe that's what you need to do, right? For Crystal, we have Shimmer Blade. Start, you may reveal 3 attack from your hand to reduce the stamina cost of those cards by 1 till the end of turn. So playing a lot of attack is going to be very helpful for this. But again, it might be very limiting. And 6, 6, 4, and 4, so a lot more attacking than anything else. If we jump up to level 2, does up to 5 damage. Same starting ability, but also if you play 2 red, increase the damage of the attack deals by 3. So here's cool, because now you can reveal 3 red, reduce them, make them all cheaper to play. And then as well as you can also increase the damage by 3 once you play 2 of them. And what is also neat with this is because if you play those 3 red cards in a row, you actually trigger this effect twice. So like, let's say I played these in my sequence. I get 1 for the first 2, and then I get 1 for the second 2, because it's 2 in a row. Doesn't matter. So that's really cool. So you could play all 3 of them very cheaper, and then potentially do an extra 6 damage. Then Shimmer Blade level 3. And it looks like all the stats stay the same. Did they change from the first one? I think they changed from the first one. Nope, 4, 4, and 6. Start or in action, you may reveal 3 from your hand or reduce the cost of those cards by 1. And then you can increase the damage by 5. The fact it's also an action's cool because later in your turn, maybe you drew some extra cards. Hey, I still, like, I played, like, I have 3 in the beginning of my hand. I play them, I can reduce them. Or later on, you didn't have 3, but you draw 1 red card later. Now I have 3. You can definitely do that, which is pretty cool. That goes up to 7. Our Thunder, we have Irrigan Thunder. So 5, 6, 4, and 5. So little all over the place. When you empty your deck, Irrigan Summer gets +1 damage. Max 3 per game. So it starts at 5. It can become up to 8. Right? Not early, but after a while. And this goes, again, really well with the armor, which has lots of stuff. When you empty your hand, you get abilities. And this is when you empty your deck. Level 2, get a little bit of electric charge in there. And this is when you empty your deck. Gets +1 damage, -3. If you play a blue, a red. If Irrigan Summer's damage is 8 or more, stun the monster. So first time you empty your deck, it'll be 8, and then every time after that. This also did change its deck. Nope, it's up the same deck numbers. I keep thinking it changes it. But it did. It does for this one, though. So this one, it actually drops our green down by 1, but it ups our red. With a giant electrical charge in there for level 3. So now you can get +2 damage. If it's 11 or more, stun the monster. So again, first time you empty your deck, it'll be up. Cool. And then our last weapon is for metal, we have Orion Blade. So 5, 5, 6, and 4. And you can see every single sword or every single weapon has had a different deck layout. With red, if you look at the top card of the attrition deck, you may choose and discard it. It does sport. Nice. Just discard it rather than having to play another one. Level 2, getting some spikes on the other side. When the attrition deck is empty, inflict vulnerable. So this helps you every time you play red cards, you're going to get empty that card out. Quicker you do, you get inflict vulnerable on them. And then finally we get level 3. When the attrition deck is empty, you can inflict vulnerable. Start with the top card of the attrition deck. You may choose to discard it. So now you can just do it every turn for free without having to play a card. The difference would be, triggering it once per every red card you play versus did you need to do it every turn no matter what. So again, kind of interesting because you leave yourself at this one, you could play 3 red cards and you could trigger it each time, right? In a turn. This one you're only going to get to do it once, no matter what. But the difference is now you don't have to worry about playing red cards to do it. So that's pretty fun there. Alright, that is going to be our weapons. I think as long as this is taking, we're just... I might even break this down. I think we're just going to do 1 hunter per video because it's going to take a while to go through all their cards and all their decks. But that's fine. We'll do 1 hunter per video. We're going to start off with our starter cards. So for this, and what's neat, so they have same artwork on every single type of card. So all the master cards have the same, all the blue cards have the same artwork, all the red cards have the same artwork. They're different per hunter, but they're the same per color. And the idea of that was just because the whole idea is to be looking at the icons and the symbols, like for quick reference, and then the text, and they didn't want the artwork to be dictating stuff. And I can go back and forth on it, because sometimes it's nice to be like, to visually look at the card and be like, this card does this, oh, I saw this picture, it does this, and this does this. And it's neat, but it's like, it also costs more to make, like, you have, there's how many different cards in here. If every single card had to have different artwork, because every card is different. That's fine to have the different artwork on cards if there's like a 10-card deck, or if there's like 20 cards, but every card has 2, so again, you only need to make 10 different artwork. But when they have like a 60-some card deck, having different artwork for every 60 cards would be a pain. And then what would end up happening, I think, is you'd end up having a lot more cards that were shared between each hunter, which is really cool in this, is that every hunter has their own deck. Granted, Some might have the same type of abilities, but they're going to work maybe a little bit differently here and there. But alright, so we're going to look at this. So S is going to be starter. We're going to start with that. We have Mastery. We have Relentless Assault. Reduce the stamina cost of all your red cards played by 1. So it actually starts on this side. This is the unfocused side, right? Relentless Assault, place... If you play 2 red, you place a counter on this card. Once you have 2, you get to flip them over, and then now it makes all your cards cheaper. So that's definitely cool. And then with the Master cards work very well for the Hunters because they're going to let you, again, tailor your deck more. We get different weapons, different armor, different equipment, different decks in the cards, different masteries. All this stuff is going to let you tailor your deck in so many different ways. Let's look at our starter cards. So we're going to start with the red. So you have Jumping Slice. So you have cost. If it's a little red, if it's a dark red, it gives you an Argo icon. If it doesn't, you don't have one. Bottom is how much stamina you can use to produce it. Some will have words like slash, which again, don't do anything specific. We saw that with his reference thing, but there will be something that might reference the slash card. So Jumping Slice, which has assist. If you paid with a blue card, increase the damage of this attack by 3 per weapon level. So level 1 weapon would do 3 damage, level 3 would do 9 damage. Cool. We have Double Slash. If the next card you play in your sequence is a red card, reduce its cost by 1. So like lots of these cards are already 1, so you can play them for 0. So you can get lots of free cards if you time these things right. Massive Strike, which is a finisher. You can only play this card after a red card. Increase the damage of the attack by 5 per weapon level. Again, level 1 is 5. If you're level 3, it's 15. So pretty cool. Battle Cry. Berserker and Resilience. Berserker, again, lets you... I'm going to reread that. It says, when you play this keyword, when Berserker state, draw 1 each time you play an attack card in a sequence. It can be red or blue. Doesn't matter. So if you play this to start off with, you're going to get that extra card for every time you play an extra card, which could potentially let you play more cards. You only play 5 cards in your sequence, but it can help you pay for more and get more options. And then Resilience is going to let you, if it's in your hand, you can discard it to prevent damage. Precision Strike. This attack inflicts vulnerable. And then we have Dragon Strike, Assist. So play a yellow card first, and then you get to draw 1 card. Cool. And then every time you play an attack, you do damage with whatever your weapon is as well. Alright, so then we have blue cards, which are the blue attack. We have Engage. These also remove 1 struggle. Choose another player in your sector. The red cards let you do the damage with your weapon. The blue ones will let you remove a struggle token. Choose another player in your sector or an adjacent sector to draw a card. That's pretty fun. Quick Attack. When you discard this card from your hand, deal your base weapon damage. Thwart. When another player removes struggle, you may discard this card from your hand to double the amount of struggle removed. Then the active player draws a card. Pressing Strike. Draw 2. Slash to the flank. If you're in the flank sector, you may play a red card as the next action in your sequence without paying its stamina cost. Now imagine that you could hit that with like one of them level 3s. Awesome. And then Aggressive Charge, Assist, and Berserker. Then we're going to get into our yellow, which are our parry cards. Deflecting Blade. Search your deck for a card with slash and add it to your hand, then reshuffle your deck. So that's for a lot of those red cards and blue cards that slash on the bottom. Counter Strike. If you played a red card after this, increase the damage by the attack for 3 per level. Reactive Guard. Resilience. Played after a red card, draw 1 card. So it's kind of like if you attack and then you immediately throw up a parry to try and block like a reaction. Essentially what you're doing. You get some bonuses for that. Guardian Blade. At the end of your action phase, choose another player to draw 1 card for each aggro in your sequence. So you're helping out your teammates there. And again, this is very cool because like you can play these assist cards to boost guys, but you're seeing he has a bunch of other cards that are letting other hunters draw cards. So, like, using assist, you're like, well, but now I have only 4 cards in my hand to play. But he's going to help you guys draw extra cards anyhow. So it's pretty fun. Voice of the Dragon. Assist and Resilience. Reduce the stamina cost for each red card you played by 1. And then Heavy Clash. Assist, remove 1 struggle token. Then we have our green cards, which are Dodge. Evasive Step. Search your deck for a red card, add it to your hand, reshuffle your deck. Dragon Dash. If you have your Mastery, reduce the stamina cost of the next card you played by 1. Empty Fade. You may play a card with slash as the next card in your sequence without paying its stamina cost. Retreat. Draw 2. Endurance. Draw 1. If you have Mastery, draw 2 instead. And then finally, we have Swift Dodge. Reduce the stamina cost of the next card you played by 1. So cool. So that's our base deck. So we have 6 cards of each, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. So yeah, when you play the base weapon, you're gonna have 6 of each. When you switch to a different weapon, no card has a number over 6. At least just any of your equipment. So you're never gonna. So as you unlock more cards, you're not gonna be adding more cards to your deck. You're gonna have a choice to like reduce some cards down to 5 or 4. But when you get different options, you can obviously swap some of these out. So as you progress through, you're going to have options of A through E. So let's look at those. So A1 for him, and this is also really cool because it's not everyone immediately unlocks like this card, this card, this card. They have different pairs and combinations. So A1, he gets balanced defense, reduces the stamina cost of the next card you played by 1. Or he can get lateral move. Well, this is a top card. Your discard pile reduces stamina cost of your movements to 0. So neat. So this gives him 2 different options in the A category if he wants more defense. And then if he upgrades that farther to A2, he gets Feral Desire. Search your discard pile of the card for slash and add it to your hand. Or he could get Lacerate. If you play this after a yellow, this attack inflicts vulnerable. Then, when you hit level 2, you also get another Mastery. So you have Dragon Guard. So now you can swap this out for your other Mastery if you like this instead. So this is going to help you if you want to play a little bit more defensively. So if you play a yellow and red, you place your 2 counters. And then when you flip it, you are going to get Start Recycle 2, which is discard 2 cards from your hand to draw 2 cards. And then you can also gain a defense token every time you play a yellow then a red. So if you play your parries first, then your attacks with this one, versus the other one, which is more about making your red cards a little bit cheaper. Alright, then we have B. Wrath of Blood. If your health is critical, increase the damage of this attack by 5 per weapon level. And then Blind Rage. Assist. Increase your sequence limit by 1. So cool. So this again going to focus more on attacks. If we get into level 2, you get, if your health, Final Breath. If your health is critical, draw up to your hand size limit plus 1. This will help you gain some extra cards you're able to play. Plus you have that other one, the extra sequence works really well. Primal Fury, Berserker, draw 1 or heal 1. And then we have a level 2, or a B card, we have the Berserker. When your health becomes critical, place a counter on this card. So this only costs 1. But then it says, when focused, you may heal 1 per level. When you enter the Berserker state, you may heal 1 per level. Your weapons have plus 2 damage. So this is going to kind of want to get you into that Berserker state. To then make yourself heal, and you do some extra damage as well. Versus making your cards cheaper or giving you extra defense, you're going to do more damage. And the thing is, as you play through the campaign, right, you could end up getting B2, have all these 5 cards to play. You could use this one and then start picking up, you could pick up A as well, A1, and you could swap A1 cards and then use B2 cards and then B2 or B or C2 Mastery. So you have some different options there as well. In C, we have Guardian. It says, at the end of your action phase, return a card from your sequence to your hand. That's pretty cool. Defensive Insight, reveal any number of yellow cards from your hand, then draw that many cards. Again, way to refill your hand potentially. This is going to be a little bit more of a defensive set. We have Sentinel, Resilience. When you or another player in your sector would suffer an attack, you may discard this card from your hand to prevent that damage. And Exhausting Defense. Remove 1 struggle for each defense in your hand, reduce the stamina cost of the next card in play. So you can see right now that, Daeron is going to have a focus on red with a backup of yellow. That's his main thing, right? That's the 2 things he's playing at. So his first bunch of cards are going to be aimed around doing that. Then for C2, we have his Mastery. Tenacious Blade. When you suffer an attack, you may reveal a yellow card. If you do, place a counter on this card. And then when we flip it, he has, when you play a yellow, remove 1 struggle and gain a defense token. When you suffer an attack, you may discard a yellow to have the damage. So again, you want to play defense, a little bit more defensive, you can pick C. Then we have D. Rapid Slash with an assist. It's a fairly simple card. Blade Reflex. When your Mastery is focused, ignore the stamina cost of this card. At the end of your action phase, return a card with Slash from your sequence to your hand. So cool. You don't get any card. It has to be a more specific one, but it's very helpful. D2. Dragon Descent. If you play a red card with this, so you combine this with red, increase the damage to attack by 2 per weapon level for each other card with Slash in your sequence. This is just kind of focused on slashing. And then D2, Hurricane, reduce the stamina card with Slash till the end of turn. So you have some attack cards, some defense cards. So this one's going to focus on if you want to play them Slash cards. Slash Storm. When you play a card, if you have 3 with Slash in your sequence, place a counter. So kind of like quick strikes, right? When your sequence is limited, is increased by 1. Start, if you have a card of Slash in your hand, search your discard pile for another card of Slash, add it to your hand. So Slash cards are a little bit weaker, but they're cheaper to play. So again, it's the idea of him doing quick slashes versus heavy blows. Then finally we have E, Tactical Guard. Increase the struggle of this maneuver removes by 1. While a defense is on top of your discard pile, counts for attrition, check this turn. So that's pretty cool. Lateral Jump. When you play a blue card in your sequence, you may discard this card from your hand to immediately move without paying any stamina cost. At level 2, we have Momentum Strike. Increase the damage of attack deals by 1 for each blue in your discard pile. And then Blade Surge. You may play a blue card from your discard pile as your next card without paying its cost. So this last one kind of gives you a little bit, if you want to maybe tip your toe into blue a little bit more, this gives you that idea of that, to do that. Although again, he's kind of more focused on red with a little bit of yellow as a backup. But they want to give you some other options. So he has Sword Master as his last mastery. Place a blue, place a counter on his card. But again, you have to play 4 blue to do that. He's not really all about removing the struggle, but maybe you need someone to play that angle. You're playing all 4 players, maybe one person needs to focus, you can kind of aim him that direction. Reduce the stamina of all costs of blue cards played by 1. If you play blue, double your base damage until the end of your next turn, max twice per turn. That's pretty cool. And then finally, he's going to have 2 more cards that have swords on the back, which are just wound cards, which is at the end of the round, discard this card from your hand. So that's really fun. So that's Daeron. Here we have his little deck divider as well that came in the base set. Yeah, so I love the idea of the way this deck building gets to work. Like, as you upgrade, you get more cards, you get some options on what you want to play, maybe based on your gameplay style, based on what your team might need. Hey, we have one guy that's already doing a lot of attacks, but we need some more defense. Or maybe you want to focus on the slashing stuff. So that's how you like to play, what your team needs. Plus your weapons are going to change up as well. Like, if you lead, like all his weapons here have 5s and 6s for his red. So he's going to be playing a lot of the red, which makes more sense. But if you start looking at some of his yellow as backup, some of them are down to 4. So like right, if you're trying to do the backup with yellow, you might not necessarily want to pick one of the 4 colors. Same thing, he kind of dabbles a little bit into green. He has a couple of that, but you also notice his blue, which he doesn't have too many combo cards with, only drops down to 5, because he still wants to be able to do attack stuff. But again, combining all of that different stuff together, your weapon, your swords, your armors, your decks, you can make some very interesting things. You can play this game. Yeah, it was like, I think you're playing through a campaign, you play through, I think, 8 or 10 missions in a row. I believe that's what it was. I'm going to grab the sheet here and check. You play through 11 campaigns. But there are 49 different quests if you get all the expansions. So, I mean, even at 44, you play 4 times, you play 11 quests 4 times. Even if you assume quest 11 is always the boss, there's only 10. With 49 missions, that's almost, you can almost play the game 5 times. Not including the final boss, the Awakening. And play almost a different quest every single time. Now, I think it's even going to be more than that, because I think the first quest is always going to be the same, and the last quest will be the same. So it actually might, but you can play so many times without having different stuff. I mean, every time you can keep building your deck a little bit differently, different armor, try different things. So that's really cool. Or if you don't even care about playing a quest or the campaign, just do the expeditions. And every time you play, build your deck differently. This time I was a fire sword guy. I went all fire armor, fire sword, fire armor, all that. I tried that. I went aggressive red. Next time you play him, I'm going to try thunder stuff. Maybe you're going to mix thunder and coral. Emptying your hand, emptying your deck with some healing abilities. You can make some cool stuff. Alright, so that's where we're going to end this video. I think we're just going to do little shorter videos. We're going to do 1 per each hunter. So we'll come back. We'll do the other 3 in the next 3 videos. Hope to see you guys there. Bye.